Hi everyone, welcome back to Desired Foods. Today we are making fried bakes, also known as floats, and with a delicious corned beef side. So here I'm using some plain all-purpose flour. I'm using 2 cups of flour here. And to this I'm going to add a tablespoon of baking powder and then a tablespoon of brown sugar and then salt to taste. And then we're just going to mix all these dry ingredients together so they're all combined. So I'm just going to add 1 packet of fast action dry yeast, and this sachet is equivalent to 1 tablespoon of dry yeast. And I'm just going to mix that all through. So now I'm adding my butter. Now you want to add enough butter where you have a breadcrumb consistency. So I'm just going to keep on adding little by little butter, and I'm just going to work it through the flour so I get that breadcrumb consistency. So here I feel like it needs a little bit more butter, so I'm just adding a little bit more. And I'm just going to start working that through. And now you can see it's like a crumbly breadcrumb consistency. And that's what we're looking for. Now I'm going to begin to start adding my water, which you want to do little by little. You don't want to add too much and then you can't take it out. So what I'm doing is just working the dough and then adding a little at a time of the water. And then you want to bring this all together to get a nice soft dough. So now that the dough's coming together, it seems a little bit sticky. So when it is sticky, all you need to do is put some dry flour onto your hands and then just dust that onto the dough. And this will just take the stickiness off your hands and bring the dough a little bit more together where it's not so sticky. So you're just going to work the dough again. So you just use a dusting of flour as you're going along if you need to. Now it's hard to tell you how much water to use for this dough because it depends on what brand you're using of flour. Each brand is different. Some need more water than others. All in all, you just want a soft dough. So now we're going to let that rest. So we're going to cover it with a damp kitchen paper and then we're going to leave it with a tea towel on it for a couple of hours. So I'm going to leave it for about 3 to 4 hours, the longer the better. So now that you can see, I have let this rise for about 3 hours now, and it's more than doubled in size. So I'm just going to dust my surfaces and bring the dough onto the surface and section them. So it's optional on the size of fried bake or float that you want. So you make them as big or as small as you want. So I'm doing them a medium size one, and then I'm doing just a few small ones for my daughter as she's quite little. So you're just going to continue to do all your little balls, and then you're going to get a damp kitchen paper and you're going to cover these and let these rest again. I would say let them rest for about 20 minutes. It's only because we've handled them, so you want them to relax and soften up. And in the meantime, we'll make the corned beef. So I'm just removing the outer packaging off of the corned beef tin, because then it's just easier to open. And always remember to check that it's got this little key attached to the side, because there's been a time where I bought a tin of corned beef and I didn't check it and I didn't have it, and it was such a nightmare to open the tin without it. So always double check that your tin has the key attached, because they can obviously drop off in the shops. So to a heated non-stick pan, I'm just adding some vegetable oil here, and I'm just going to let that heat up. Then I'm adding 1 small chilli and 1 whole onion. Now I'm just using a small size onion here, and we're just going to wait till this softens up. So now that my onions are softened slightly, I'm going to add the whole tin of corned beef to the pan. And then once you've added this to the pan, you just want to start to break up the corned beef. So as you can see, I'm just breaking up the corned beef now. And once the corned beef is broken up, then you're going to add 1 chopped whole tomato to this. So I've added my whole tomato. I'm just going to fry the corned beef together now. And then you want to add a splash of tomato ketchup and some black pepper to this. I would say I used about a teaspoon of tomato ketchup to this whole tin of corned beef. Now, if you want your corned beef to be a bit more spicier, all you need to do is add a scotch bonnet to this. You can add it with the seeds or without. It's optional, but as I didn't want it too spicy, I've just added a mild chili at the starting. So our corned beef is almost finished now. We just need to add one last bit, which is some spring onions, some people may know it as green onions or scallions. So we're just going to add that to it and then fry that in, and then your corned beef is ready. So I'm just going to pop up a picture so you can see the end results of the corned beef. So this is your corned beef side ready now to fill your bakes. So getting back to our bakes now, I've had my dough resting for about 20 minutes. So I've just put some flour onto my surface, and I'm just going to dust the bakes with some flour and roll them out. Now the trick is not to roll your bakes too thin. You want a little bit of depth to them so you can actually fill them and they will be quite fluffy. If you do it too thin, what's going to happen? You won't be able to fill it as much because it will be quite crispy, and then when you cut into it, it will be very, very thin. So you want a little bit of depth to your actual bakes. So I'm just going to finish rolling these out, and then we are going to cook them. So I've heated some vegetable oil in a pan, and I'm just going to add my bake to the pan. Once it floats to the top, then your bake is actually cooked, and what you're just going to do is carry on turning them just to get that nice golden colour. So in some places of the Caribbean, these are also known as floats. So they're known as 2 names. So you've got fried bakes and you've got floats. Now the reason why some people call them floats is because when it floats to the top, then you know it's ready, and that's where the name actually came from. So now you can see my bakes are starting to get a nice golden colour to them. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take it out, and then I'm going to drain it on some kitchen paper, and then I'm keeping it in an airtight container. So I will just pop the lid on there, and that will keep my bakes nice and soft. Now some people prefer a lot crispier bake, so if you want a crispier bake, all you need to do is fry it a little bit longer. So a good sign to a good bake or float is that when the air has gone into it and it puffs up like this, because then what's happened, all the air has got right into the bake, so it's made it all nice, soft and fluffy in the inside. So it's always a good sign when you've got a nice soft bake is when it's actually really risen when you're actually cooking it. So as you can see, that sugar that we added at the starting is really helping this golden colour. Now, I know some people like a sweeter bake, so what you can do is just add a bit more sugar to your bakes at the starting if you like it to be a bit more sweeter. But I think that this recipe is the best combo of everything, and it's just how I like my bakes. So that is the bake that is nice and golden and fluffy. So I'm just going to show you now. As you can see, the air has got right into the pockets and it's so soft and fluffy and just so delicious. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try and cut into one of these. I say try because it's so soft. It's just literally, you can probably get into it with your fingers. And then I'm just going to add the corned beef to my bakes. So this is how I like mine. Now some people can put saltfish in there. You can add tomato choke in there. You can fill it with whatever you like. But I like my bakes with corned beef. So this is how I'm showing you how to do it. You can also just have it with butter as well. These are just a delicious little snack that you'll enjoy anyway. And I hope that you actually try this recipe, and if you do, let me know in the comments below how you got on. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel also. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.